Hello and welcome to the first inaugural audio review for the BADGaming Podcast crew. My name is Brock Morgan. I am joined by Alex Lina.
Hello there.
And today we're going to be reviewing Bit.Trip Runner2, Future Legend of Rhythm Alien. Quirky name, quirky game, but I think we can both agree it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool game. And in honor of the newly announced sequel to Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, I feel like I need to say, just keep running, just keep running.
I actually hadn't heard about that announcement, so wow, okay.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
I look forward to it, I guess.
Yeah, Finding Nemo was pretty solid, so
yeah.
That could be interesting. All right, well, I think we both, in the interest of full disclosure for listeners, we both have a lot of experience with the Bit.Trip series by Gaijin Games. Yep. I think we've both played all of them, to my knowledge.
Yeah, and Lowline.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot that was Gaijin. Okay, yeah.
It's probably still my favorite game by them, but...
I think Bit.Trip Fate, man. Bit.Trip Fate.
Okay. I was gonna... this jumps way ahead, but I believe one of the last lines of the game after you beat it mentioned something about Fate. So do you think they'll do a Bit.Trip Presents Fate 2 after this?
That's what I was absolutely hoping for. I saw that line and I was like, oh man, I really hope that means Fate 2.
Yeah, that would seem like the most logical one to do. Yeah,
I would
definitely.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how well this game's sold if they're going to do a Runner 3. Or I don't know.
I don't know. That's I know the Miiverse community is pretty thriving. So
okay.
Yeah.
And you played it on Wii U, and I played it on 360.
That's correct. I kind of wish I wish we had coordinated beforehand or something like that, so we could have seen how the leaderboard system works with friends and stuff. But
yeah, that's always a cool thing to see for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I guess getting to something I wanted to talk about later, which is that whole score chasing mechanic. But
yeah, definitely.
So I guess for those,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
For those unfamiliar with the series, the Bit.Trip games have always been pretty strange. The opening of Bit.Trip Runner 2 opens with a recap of the story of Bit.Trip Runner 1, which, as a person who played Bit.Trip Runner 1, I wasn't under the impression there was a story at all. So that's...
really.
Yeah, I wonder if they just kind of made it up and acted like there was something going on there, but that's interesting. But I guess Runner 2 takes a rhythm-based approach to the infinite runner concept by giving defined levels, sets of pieces of music, and then things you're jumping over and things you're interacting with in the environment. Coincide with that, make it sound really awesome, and then essentially pick up all the collectibles on the way, don't die, and get the highest score possible by completing the level. And,
yeah.
I guess that's the best way I can describe it. But
yeah, it's good representation, and of course they introduce you a pretty good curve of new abilities and ways to stop obstacles that they introduce as you go.
Yeah, that's that's something I was consistently impressed by. Actually, is the fact that every world you went to, there was at least a few different added mechanics, and by the end, it actually got to be a pretty sizable move set, and they threw it at you in pretty good order there at the end. So good level of challenge, I think, on normal difficulty anyway. And a lot of variety, a lot more than I would have expected after playing the first 2/3 of Bit.Trip Runner 1.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you, what was your first impression of the game?
First impression was that it was way too much like the original, actually.
Okay.
It's definitely felt like the original, but easier, which was actually, that's probably a good thing. But,
I can agree with that part.
Yeah. Having recently played more of Runner 1 before diving into 2, though, I was like, wow, they haven't changed too much. And then it became evident further and further on that they'd gone a long way in furthering those concepts. So that was very encouraging to see.
Yeah. I went back and played some of 1 pretty much through the first world after completing the second one. And it looked better than I remembered the original. Because there was so much detail in the environments and the presentation was really good in the second game.
Yep.
Like everything I thought I remembered in the first game was like, it was like nothing comparatively. But actually the environments are pretty decent in the first game as well.
Yeah.
But the second one really steps up their game, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just the steps it takes in terms of presentation, the visual style is improved and looks really nice. A lot of stuff going on in the background.
The menus are awesome.
The menus are awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Real cool challenge system, but yeah.
Yeah. I actually ended up completing almost all of those by the end. When I got the 1 hour of airtime unlocked, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, I guess I played this for a while.
What was your total play time?
I think it ended up being a little over 5.5 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I checked. After I had beat it, I went and checked really quickly, and I was at 4 hours and 6 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't do every level, though. I know there's all those unlocks and stuff.
Okay.
And going back and getting it. I think I replayed a couple levels, but not very many.
Yeah, I guess that's something I definitely wanted to touch on is the amount of content. I definitely feel like I didn't need to. I actually ended up thinking the game was a bit too long after a while because the first game, 3 worlds, 10 levels apiece and a boss. Yep. Bit.Trip Runner, 5 worlds, 20 levels apiece and a boss, and I was like, wow, okay. I started feeling some fatigue, mainly because I was playing it in huge chunks. Just trying to get it done to catch up with you because you finished it way before I did. But I ended up getting every single piece of gold in the game.
Wow.
All 800 gold in all 5 worlds.
Dang.
So that would explain the inflated playtime, I guess.
Not much longer though. It'd probably take me longer than that to pull that off.
I don't know.
And you also said you were jumping the checkpoints a lot of the time.
I totally gave as the game became more difficult. I totally started just using the checkpoints as normal, especially the first time I was going through a level. If I went back and revisited it, I'd usually try to skip the checkpoint and get the bonus points. But that game got straight up difficult at the end, so I was making use of the checkpoints, especially if I'd gotten all the gold in the first half. It definitely stepped it up and became quite tough at the end. I liked it.
Yeah, going back to what you said about playing it in large chunks, I expected there to be 4 worlds, not 5, based on how the map looked.
Same here.
And so I started about halfway through World 3, and then I beat that, and I'm like, I was in the zone. Like that, I felt playing it in big chunks was the way to go. Yeah. Because every time I'd restart, I would suck, and I would just get it, and then by the time I finished half a world, because how I normally played it, I did about 10 levels at a time. Yeah. Except for the back end, I did the last half of the 3rd world, and I did all of the 4th world, and then all of the 5th world.
Wow.
In one setting.
Impressive.
And I was like, I'm kind of on a roll. I don't want to have to come back to this and suck again and relearn everything. So.
During the hardest part, especially. Yeah, that would have been brutal. Yeah, that's I think I ended up completing the game mainly in 4 sittings. So I'd go after it large sections at a time, and I had to set it down one of the times during that 5th world, just because one of those levels in particular was just brutal. So that was always nice, and the branching paths. I'd usually opt for the more difficult one just to get the treasure and stuff. So that made it much more difficult.
I'm almost embarrassed to say, but I didn't even realize that there was one of those was more difficult than the other until I saw it in the loading screen.
Oh, really?
I was okay. Those are more difficult. Okay. So I found that out probably about halfway through the 4th world.
Okay.
And so it's now I'm taking the easy ones the rest of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it doesn't really clearly label a lot of things in the game actually. On those loading screens, I actually usually never had time to read them. On the Wii U, those loading screens are very short, so I literally just So I missed that stuff a lot, and there was some stuff that I was learning, of course, going through the game later and later. So
yeah, that was how I learned you could jump checkpoints too with this loading screen.
Yeah, and I had totally lucked onto that just in the first level, jumping over it, wondering if it was an obstacle or not, and then checkpoint skipped, 50,000 points. I was like, oh, sweet, cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about the music. It seems like I want to say it's stylistically different than the first game, or even all the other Bit.Trip games.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the music in this one?
I would agree.
It is a rhythm game, so
yeah.
it's important.
yeah, that was an area where I thought the game was really struggling at first. I would say I would absolutely agree it's stylistically different and definitely much more complex in certain ways. Yeah, there's a lot. A lot of it was just ambient, especially in that second world, and which I thought was an absolute slog, just because I thought the music was so lackluster.
Yeah, that probably was the worst one.
But going into that third world and beyond, I actually really enjoyed the music at times. There were levels here and there that I didn't think were as good, but largely I was actually very impressed by the music, and especially Worlds 3 and 4.
Okay.
So I don't feel it ends quite as strong as I would have liked, but I definitely agree that it's different, and I thought it was better.
Okay, cool. Oh, better than the originals. Okay.
Better than Bit.Trip Runner 1. I would say I like some of the music, especially in terms of style and some of the earlier Bit.Trip games, but I like the music more in... I felt like I was interacting with it more in 2 than I was in 1.
Yeah, especially on, like, when they would throw the ones you had to block, and you'd have to actually jump to hit them, like forcing you into an obstacle. I'm like, I'm going to not get that one, just because I don't want to. And stuff like that does make it feel definitely much more interactive.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I definitely like the challenge system and the achievement progress as you go, and it always lets you know, like, you have this much, or you just unlock this challenge, and the screens for those are, and the menus are really nice.
Yes.
So that's really good.
Yeah, I agree. Those popping up and being able to check the progress on all those at any given time was really awesome.
Yeah.
Going into a menu, okay, I've slide kicked 87 obstacles. I need 100. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was actually one of the last ones I got, was slide kick like 500 obstacles or something like that.
Cool. All right, so cover presentation and music, the unlock system. I mean, I didn't really have any problems with the controls. I'm guessing Wii U was fine as well.
It utilized the gamepad really, really well, especially going back and forth between using the right stick along the loops and stuff like that. I thought was implemented really well.
Yeah.
The last boss actually made challenge of the controls for a while, but I don't want to get too much into that. I don't know if you had that final encounter was actually really tough for me.
That was the hardest part of the game, I'd say.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So that's cool. I think just the way they made use of all the available buttons and control sticks and stuff throughout the game was really good. So playing the game on the screen on the gamepad was really nice.
Yeah. Let's talk about the boss fights then.
Okay.
Sure. Just the fact that there are boss fights in a game like that and the way they're implemented is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite one out of all of them? I'm even trying to remember myself right now.
Yeah.
I think it was the World 4 one might have been my favorite. Where
yes, definitely.
You had to memorize. It was like, like up, down, up, or anyway, it would show you what was going to come, and then
in reverse
you had
order.
Almost no reaction time. Yeah, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
I've been working on my concentration training and memorizing stuff like that, so that really paid off.
Nice.
Big time with the brain age. So.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would agree that the World 4 boss was my favorite. Sometimes it seemed a little difficult during other boss fights to tell exactly what was going to be thrown at you. So seeing it coming in the pipe from the opposite direction, I felt really equalized that in a way that made it fun. So.
That was a really good one.
Yeah. Let's see. I know one of my favorite features in this game: press right trigger to dance.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing I'd say that really made this game. Is there a dance in Bit.Trip Runner 1?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, I didn't think so because there aren't that many buttons on the Wiimote, I guess, comparatively.
Yeah.
But yeah, dancing is like what made this game for me. Otherwise, it's just complete memorization, which it still could be with dance because you have to memorize when there are these few. And that's when I wrote down, like in my notes here about this game, it's like, this is a game of split seconds. And it's the dancing that really, really brings that out. It makes it fun for the high score chasing that you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Or mentioned earlier. That's like how you add, and like it adds so much more personality and expression to the game instead of it just being just this repetitious slog of pressing up and down, and just feeling like a robot. But the dance move just makes it so much better, and was really a really great idea that they added it. It added a lot to it for me. I would have been much more negative on the game if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, just the ability that you gain over the course of the game after they introduce that dance mechanic, to where you're hitting that button and it's an animation that you can't stop, and if you press it one too many times, you're going to run into that obstacle that's coming up and you're going to die. But if you pull it off and you have just enough time to make that jump or make that slide, or block an obstacle right after you come out of a dance, it really feels like you're pressing the game. You're getting points that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get. And I think that feels really good when you pull something like that off. So, easily